Sorry, you're probably here for the race recap, right? Sorry, I got a little carried away with the coffee and bagel montage, but let's get to the race. Now that I'm properly fueled with my traditional pre-race bagel and coffee, I'm ready to head out to the starting line. But as you can see, the weather wasn't ideal. It was in the mid-40s and dumping rain the whole time. But I'm too crazy to not run a race that I signed up for. And with just 3 weeks until my marathon, I thought that this would be the perfect tune-up.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, yeah!
And here we go. The start of the race is always so exciting, but something I should probably say is this race was hard. There were 1,300 plus feet of ascent involved in this race, and when you mix that with mid 40-degree weather plus lots of rain the entire time, getting soaked to the bone, it's certainly a challenge. So I knew from the start that I was going to have to pace myself, start as slow as possible, and save some energy because I knew some big hills were coming up. Also, as a quick guide as we go throughout the race, you'll see on the left side some different stats. So on the top is the distance of where I'm at when I'm showing the video, and the current pace that I'm at, that's live, and then also my heart rate as well. So kind of shows some good measurements as to where I'm at, the pace I'm going, and my current fatigue based on the heart rate and how much I'm working. So you can see here I'm coming up on the 1 mile marker, and I've tried to really dial it back. The beginning of the race was a lot of downhill, and I knew that every step I took downhill was a step I was going to have to take back uphill later. Hitting that mile 2 marker, feeling pretty good. You can see my pace is up a little bit higher, and still some downhills, but I'm starting to warm up and I'm starting to get into a nice little groove. Yeah, this was a gorgeous course, and even though it was rainy, it was such a beautiful fall day. And I also just want to say that I'm doing this for you. I'm wearing sunglasses so that I can bring these views to you. So hope you can appreciate that, especially because in the rain, it's not easy to see with sunglasses on. Okay, as you can see, we've hit mile 3, and the pace has come down a little bit as I'm going uphill slightly, and also the heart rate is starting to get a little more elevated too. Just hitting 4 miles, and the previous mile was an 8:28 pace, so keeping it nice and steady as we go.
All right, mile 5. Been a couple big hills, but nothing too crazy yet. Still trying to reserve as much energy as possible for when we get to those big hills. Beautiful fall scenery. 6 miles. Woo!
Yeah, we're just under halfway through the race, but you can see my pace has slowed down to 10:27 per mile, and my heart rate's starting to spike as well because we're starting to hit those hills. Okay, as you can see, we're 6.4 miles in, having run just under an hour to this point. But it's time to refuel, and this has quickly become one of my favorite gels. It's got 30 grams of carbs and 100 milligrams of caffeine, so it's a nice little kick. But at this point, it is so cold and my hands are so numb, it is much harder than it seems to open up the gel. And those are already hard to open, as you runners out there know. Yeah, honestly, this was such a beautiful course up in Apple Hill, getting to see all the vineyards and the beautiful fall trees. Hitting that mile 7 marker, we just finished a bit of an uphill stretch and met a nice surprise with some slight downhill, but still feeling good with lots of energy in the tank. But I think I spoke a bit too soon, as this hill was a doozy, as you can see. A number of runners started walking at this point, but I was determined to continue on. At the mile 8 mark was a nice little downhill, which was definitely a good reward after climbing for so long. You can see me there reflecting on my life choices. See what I did there? Huh?
Here we go. 4.1 to go. Just past mile 9, and I'm doing what I think is probably the last real downhill. Lots of hills coming up.
Just wanted to say a big shout out to all the volunteers and the people who made the Apple Hill Half Marathon happen. It literally couldn't have happened without you, so thank you so much. And just a super quick note, this is the first time I've opted to use a running vest during a race. And I did that strategically so that I wouldn't have to stop at the aid stations to get water and electrolytes, and decided to bring what I knew worked with me. So it's something I'm considering doing for the marathon actually coming up, because I think it worked pretty well. Coming up on that mile 10 marker, I'm feeling pretty good because there's only a 5K to go. But I know that all those 5K are uphill.
Not every day you get to run by a river. It's pretty cool.
There's that hill I'm talking about. Look at that pace going down to 11:30 plus per mile. You know, when I'm tired, I can't be held accountable for the terrible jokes that I make.
Now we know why they call it Apple Hill, right?
Sorry, I am very aware that was super cringy. I wanted to be sure to film this part because I met a couple cool guys, so shout out to Ben and Vlad, these guys that you see here. We ran the last few miles together, and it was honestly great because we were all cold, we were all tired, we were all wet, but it made it so much nicer to run with a couple cool guys who are out here doing the same thing. Hitting mile 11 here and keeping that group run vibe going, and we've hit a bit of a plateau, which is nice, but it really is mostly straight uphill here.
Little past 12 miles. Less than a mile to go. Let's get it.
And let me tell you, that last mile was pretty brutal, and not just because it was all uphill, but I tried to record myself going across the finish line just to hear my glasses say that I did not have enough battery, so I'm so sorry. But hey, shout out to my wife who was able to get a video of me crossing, and also I think that these photos that the photographers got of me crossing the finish line do a really good job of showing how I was feeling in that moment. All right, well, that's another half marathon in the books, this one with a final time of 1 hour and 56 minutes and 58 seconds. But I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't feel super great seeing that time, knowing that I could be much faster. But I have to keep reminding myself that it was in the mid-40s, that it was dumping rain the whole time, and that there were over 1,300 feet of ascent. But I want to say thank you so much for joining. If you like this kind of content, I'm still training for the California International Marathon, which is taking place on December 7th. Super close, and I'm very excited for that. And I've got a full marathon training series playlist where I take you with me on every single one of my training runs. So feel free to check that out. And I've also got lots of long form content, including my very own personal journey, where I lost 85 pounds in a year and completed my very first Ironman 70.3. So I'm really stoked that you're here and hope that you'll stick around. But until then, I'll catch you in the next one.